Young Thug consistently has been getting wins in court if you have not been watching. So, besides all of the other hoopla going on with Fani Willis over this, they're over here trying to sleep with their own witnesses. And they're getting them fired, sexually harassing them, and just making their life hell if they don't get on the stand and say what they want them to say. Sounds like a Democrat.
Big money in this bitch, multiplier. Eateries in a limo, Uber driver, record a life like a demo. I know they watching. In the end, I'm a lifter, suicidal.
BBN Jack first. What's up, party people? Alright, so now apparently, for everybody that don't know, Fani Willis and her office has been under much scrutiny, not just because of the way that they have handled the Trump case, but also the way that they have handled the YSL RICO charges. Okay. Now I want to be clear about something. I don't want there to be any misunderstanding here. We were not present when this alleged harassment happened. All we have is the individual that's saying, I got harassed. At least that's all we had. Now we have text messages. Now, just so we can be clear, he's been out for a couple of days. It's just the first video that I'm making where I'm actually showing some of the text messages. And I want to also be clear about another thing. As you can see, she's not responding. He sent the voice text. I guess he assumed she didn't listen to the voice text, or she just didn't. So he sent a text. And then he kept on texting. Now, we all know what that means when somebody consistently keeps sending texts to an individual. That's stalking. For anybody that doesn't already know, the witness that this reflects or has anything to do with is A. Bennett. They were keeping her first name secret. I have no idea because the freaking prosecution knows her first, last name. They knew where she worked at before they got her fired and everything else. So I'm not 100% sure why she's keeping her name secret. I mean, at this point, she might as well just be like, it's me, y'all, with like walking around with two giant foam hands that the thumbs is sticking out, pointing them at herself, and just let everybody know, it was me, y'all. I'm the one they trying to screw over. So everybody that don't know, she actually took the witness stand. Officer Keith Adams asked her, you told us when you were back there, you didn't want to come out. Basically, she didn't want to come out and see him because he had sexually harassed you, talking about the DA's investigator. Now, for everybody that don't know, DAs have investigators. The DA isn't walking around doing all of the investigating themselves. They have individuals who have the legal, or pardon me, has some type of training in the legal field in most cases, or they were previously police or whatever the case is, but they know their way around the law to a certain degree. That's what makes this even more egregious. And what they do is they basically keep contact with specific witnesses, so the DA doesn't have to keep in mind 300 witnesses themselves. Remember, they had 700 witnesses on this particular case at one point or another. Obviously overkill. I mean, if you need 700 people to prove your case, you probably don't got a case. In any regard, A. Bennett, when asked, did she not want to come out, and the reason being because the person who was harassing her was out there in the courtroom, she said yes. She had said that he felt she wanted to date her, and basically she was uncomfortable. Now, for everybody that don't know, they had a meeting at one point that was supposed to, there was a meeting scheduled because they do have to meet up and speak. And she already had not felt comfortable with the individual, so she brought her 2-year-old son with her. There was a story I read somewhere, I guess it was a typo, it said 20. Anyway, so she brought a 2-year-old son with her. She didn't feel comfortable. She said he had made it pretty plain and obvious that after the case was over, that he had wanted to date her after the trial was over. She didn't feel comfortable with this. She didn't feel comfortable being around this guy. She blocked him after multiple calls. And I guess that's when they decided to get her fired. You know, because he blocked her. So they said, we're going to call her Jabs over here. So now her job is like, why she got to keep leaving? The job don't know why the government keeps talking to us. They probably just assume that she's into some kind of stuff that they don't want to be a part of. Allegedly, she was fired from a job for those reasons. Well, she was fired from a job allegedly for those reasons. We don't know why the reason. Maybe they let her go for a different reason. Maybe they've been wanting to let her go for like 2 years now, but they had no reason. Now they're like, finally, it been bestowed upon us. And then they let her go. Don't have the slightest idea. But basically, she's saying that she lost her job due to how many times the prosecution had asked to meet her. Obviously, if you're working at a job somewhere and they're constantly asking you to meet her, that's kind of fishy to the boss. So I don't even know if the boss is wrong on this. I don't know how I would feel if I had a employee that constantly had to, you know, go do stuff because the federal government or, you know, even the local government had to talk to them every other day. Like, what do you know that they needs to know so bad? Anyway, she goes on to say that they picked me up, surrounded my house. Well, also, for everybody that don't know, this particular individual did not want to testify. There's another dude that didn't want to testify either, but 9 times out of 10, he gave helpful information that they wanted him to get on the stand and talk about. I'm probably going to make a video about that. Anyway, so she says that they picked her up. They surrounded her house. They moved her camera. I guess she has a camera in the front of her house so people can know what's going on. They moved it. They had her 11-year-old outside for like hours, like an hour and a half outside by himself. Maybe that's a big thing. I don't have the slightest idea. Where I live, 11-year-olds. When I was an 11-year-old, well, nobody did. I lived alone when I was 11. But I know 11-year-olds that go outside early in the morning and don't come out into the lights is coming on, because that's kind of how it was when I was a kid. So I don't know how big of a deal this is for her 11-year-old to be outside for an hour and a half alone. I don't know how big, but she's saying it's a big deal. In any regard, she was called to the stand to talk about a robbery. Allegedly, there was a robbery that had happened where her home was burglarized, and the people that was supposed to have been there was Young Thug, some dude named Walter DK Murphy, and it was somebody else that called themselves Young Thug's brother, and they robbed that apartment allegedly in 2013. So that's what they wanted to ask her about. Now, this is the question that I have. If y'all spoke to her, and y'all had to spoke to her multiple times over and over and over, and I'm assuming she's saying that she does not want to testify all these times, this is harassment. Even if this isn't harassment of the carnal nature, this is still harassment. If you come and talk to me and I say, I do not know about these crimes, or I don't remember enough to testify, and you're constantly pulling up on me and talking to me every other day, every day, texting me, calling my job, this is harassment. If I was her, I'd try to take some kind of legal action against them at this point. This is 100% harassment. Just so we could be clear. She said that she felt he wanted to date her, and that's one of the reasons why she felt uncomfortable. In any regard, this is the guy's text messages. It looks like he wanted to date her. These guys are the most unprofessional DA's office. They wouldn't be able to work in New York. I promise you. One of our advocates up here would have got these people fired so quick. This is the problem when you give any side too much power. Right now, there's been so much racism that black people have had to go against, us as black people have had to go against for hundreds of years, that we've kind of overcorrected. Not that we probably shouldn't have. We probably should have overcorrected before we could get to the correct area, just so we can be clear. But we might have overcorrected, because now we have people in power who are ambitious, who have a vision, but it's probably not the vision we need them to have. Now, with that being said, I am very happy that we have a black district attorney, a black female district attorney. I would be just as happy if he had a white district attorney, a white female district attorney, as long as they were doing their jobs appropriately. You say that Young Thug is such a criminal, but yet you're consistently having to force people to testify. If this guy is such a criminal that you're saying he is, and I'm not saying he's not, and I'm not saying he is, why is it so hard to get anybody to get on the stand and talk about it? It seems like everybody that gets on the stand, they don't want no parts of this case. It seems like they're constantly trying to force people to testify. Now, if this person is so bad that you got 700 witnesses chomping at the bit, you should be able to just take the ones that want to testify, and the ones who don't want to testify, you don't call them. This looks like bullying to me. And what is true about all bullies? All bullies are cowards. This is a fact. I have never met one person in my life who was a bully and was not a coward. You want to know why? Because bullies only go after people who don't want to fight. Not that can't fight. I want to be clear on this. Don't want to fight. Bullies only go after people who don't want to be a part of the bullshit. Not don't have the capability. You don't think these dudes that they're trying to bully on the stand, if they saw them in the middle of the street somewhere, couldn't get the business? I'm pretty sure most of them would be able to do that. But they don't want to. We shouldn't have to live in a world where we have to break laws and risk prison in order to get assholes off our back. If these accusations are true about the district attorney's investigator, he's an asshole. What does that say about his boss? Like, comment, subscribes. Join the notification game. Hashtag Bronx Bombers. Let's get it. I love y'all. Take care of each other.